Good afternoon, Made in Yorkshire and the Made in Midlands community live TV. Today is my editor's pick. I'm Caroline Broad from Clarion Solicitors of Made in Yorkshire. So the aim of the editor's pick and Made Live TV manufacturers and the industry up to date with all the most exciting and up to date news. So I'm joined wonderful members of the wider community to talk about a few of the different elements that have come up recently in the wider industry. So, first things up first, to introduce myself, as mentioned, Clarion Solicitors in Yorkshire. And with me today, I have Alex Smith, business consultant from. Hello, Alex.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, thank you. Good. Then we have Kirsty at Professional Polishing Services.
Good afternoon.
Hello. We've got a little bit of a lag on the sound with Kirsty. Translate through too badly. And finally, we've got a double act. We've got James Grant, technical tech, and also joined by Dr. Nick Welton.
Hi, Caroline. Hello.
Hi guys. I'm loving the backgrounds that both Kirsty and James have got there. It's all cool. Alex, I think we've let the side down there.
Yeah, less exciting.
Maybe not with my wallpaper, but so let's get straight into it. So again, the main topics today are all really helpful for the manufacturing industry. First of all, we're all looking at some bleak headwinds, aren't we? In particular for some of the larger sectors such as manufacturing. Every manufacturer is looking at efficiency in energy usage, looking at the optimization of digital and tech solutions, and of course the expertise within the supply chain and the services that the manufacturing industry can. So today is a real mix of those three stories that really kind of help with that. First, the topic for the manufacturing industry, which is of course the impact on the environment. So when the environmental, sustainable, social and governance, a lot of business can really struggle to start with ESG, especially across manufacturing, as opposed to thinking about how that can be baked and also into the strategy and growth of the business. So I was really interested, first of all, in this and also in your approach, Alex, to the challenge, I guess, for manufacturers. How can digital technology help reduce energy consumption? So Alex, is it worth just doing the business and your role yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a business consultant with SimLogic, and we provide a range of digital solutions and software into the manufacturing space. And it's all about achieving more with what you've already got. It's about driving continuous improvement, and sustainability, obviously, at the moment is a really hot topic. But I think key to that is understanding sustainability is far more than just reducing your energy bills.
Very good. That's a great summary. Thank you. I mean, obviously, your digital manufacturing solutions and services, and feel free to elaborate. The article actually had within it a webinar, and the link to the webinar I'd encourage all the viewers to have a look at. I'm sure commented on the recording here. I felt it gave a really simple breakdown. Actually, can apply to sustainability, and also the importance of utilising. Encourage people to watch that. First of all, can you maybe elaborate on some of the benefits for sustainable, firstly for themselves and their own business, but also within the supply chain?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think it's one of those things, the benefit, it's almost more about there is no choice but to become more sustainable. And as mentioned, that is a number of different areas, obviously currently at the moment, in terms of energy consumption and energy use. I think everyone now knows, I think it was today announced, everyone has to start heating their houses, and there's some fear about, how that will affect people. But businesses are no different. Energy contracts come up, whether that be your gas or your electricity. But on top of that, you mentioned their supply chain, and really companies need to be building a sustainable supply chain, and that's everything from the materials you use to how you run your supply chain, whether it be just in time or similar methodologies such as that. But lean practices too, bringing in a reduction in waste. So really, for businesses to be competitive now, you need to have a sustainable strategy. There are legal requirements that you need to comply, and if you can't measure it, you can't show compliance. And the big difference is, you could look at using your energy bills, but really real-time data on energy consumption gives the insight to drive that continuous improvement and become more sustainable.
Yeah, and you mentioned about the and the webinar gave some really practical examples and focus areas, just to read a couple of them out. View on sustainability and a global view on your production visibility, productivity, wide connectivity, and analytics and decision making. So you mentioned there that measurement is key. Is it for businesses to firstly understand where they are and use that data that's in real time? And organizations capture data but maybe don't know what to do with it, or it can very quickly become very old contracts and things change. So if you could just talk us through that real-time data piece.
Yeah, sure. I think that's one of the key things, and it's not just from sort of an energy consumption, but generally within manufacturing, quite often you'll have an ERP system will kick down a work order. That work order starts, and then at some point it finishes. And there's very much a black hole for many companies and many people I talk to at the moment of what's really happening within their process. They will have a standard cycle time, they'll have materials and everything, but really, if it's not measured in real time, if there's not live data, you really don't know what's happening. And if you don't know what's happening, how can you improve? And that comes from the two things. It is measuring. You need a base point. You need to know where you're starting from. And like any sort of continuous improvement initiatives, you need the right metrics to show improvement. Now, we've touched on the energy and sustainability. There are goals for everyone to reduce their carbon footprint and their CO2 emissions. So you need to set your goals, you need to measure them, and doing it in real time means you can actually take action on real data rather than it being either in the past or an assumption.
Very good. So ultimately it makes it more effective, and it's a viewing and looking at what kind of efficiencies can be made.
Definitely, yeah.
And as always, once that data has been translated and what that means, to possibly give us some examples of the ways that manufacturers and some of your clients have really been able to impactful kind of changes to their organization, and then also maybe some examples of some longer term.
Sure. Yeah, I think so. Key to what we've done and is we are now giving context to that utilities consumption. So a bill will tell you how much you use, but you've got no idea of what assets or what processes or what products are driving those consumptions. So we give you manufacturing context, and we've had more than one customer pick up some really impressive savings simply by noticing their lights and their machines are still on at the weekend. And that's all it's doing. It's showing, because you've got the pattern of manufacturing context over your energy consumption, you can see when you're manufacturing, see when you're not, see when there's changeovers. And that is just then allows you to put into place some really simple measures that can get some quite large returns quickly. And when you're looking at long term, that's all about your process optimization, looking at what shifts, what processes are the most efficient. Have you got particular assets that seem to be consuming excessive amounts of energy? There's loads that can be garnered over a period of time, and it's all about setting those micro targets and continuously driving them. If you look at reducing by 10%, it can look like a big figure, but if you break that down over a 5-year plan, 2% per year, and then break that down again into different lines, different assets, it is very much achievable. And it's definitely a way that people now are starting to think and target specifically utility hungry processes, maybe water or things like that, where they use a lot, you get that context and you can really make those efficiency drives.
Very good, excellent, thank you. Some great takeaways from that as well. Thank you for sharing, Alex.
Thank you, Karen.
So moving on to professional polishing services, I'm impressed that Kirsty's high vis matches the colour of the walls behind. So first of all, we love a story about manufacturing innovation. A number of the members of are pioneers in that area. But I think there's a couple of areas that are really special about this story, that the innovation will have on the impact of the business and its customers, but also looking at community. So welcome to Kirsty, MD at Professional Polishing Services, and a little bit about the business and also about your role.
Yeah, so apologies if my sound is a bit laggy. We polish primarily stainless steel and aluminium, and we polish about 30,000 tons a year, all industries, architectural, pharmaceutical, nuclear, food and drink manufacturing, with our finishes probably 30 times a day, from turning on a lights and getting in their car. And my role as the MD is to facilitate the best working practices we can do. And part of that, I'm looking at my legacy. And I've said for the last few years, I want them with a carbon neutral factory. So it's been a goal we've had for a very. We're starting to make some quite significant steps towards.
Very good. What process and strategy for driving the business as well? It's not about the work that you're doing day to day. It's actually about the wider industry and the wider economy. So as mentioned, it's not just the guy that's helped fuel this project that was quite interesting to me, but also the plans that you take and you openly want to share your intellectual property, which everybody knows is a really valuable asset. Willing to kind of share that for the greater good and to help the manufacturing sector collectively reach net zero. We're really excited to hear about this. So the carbon calculation tool, which new carbon footprint calculator, adds up for professional polishing services, which is a great PR spin. Another example of how digital process can aid reduction in energy usage for manufacturers. Plans came about in the development of this with the collaboration of University of Birmingham.
We I was invited to a meeting in my role as chair of the British Stainless Steel Association, and mentioned that I'd been trying to calculate our carbon footprint, how much, and there was nothing out there that I could use.
Okay.
Quite interested, and they went away, and then put person, and we sat down and said, right, we're going to do this. More conversations, and obviously with people looking at their own sustainable, this gives us an advantage in being to and let our customers and their customers know. And yes, it was very tasty at what we do in the UK. We're in the top 3 in Europe. For me, it's not just about a sales sustainability of our sector of manufacturing in the UK is rolling it out. Let's give our competitors the opportunity to sign up and work with you. And as of yesterday, I think 3 of them had. We're talking to, and I just think it's going to benefit throughout the whole of the UK and Europe.
That's great to hear. So tell us how the calculator works and tell us what type of business would benefit.
An awful lot of sensors. So we had several days where we chose to say about data earlier, and using the digital information, everything. So on the first trials of the first 2 machines we've done, how many 0. whatever of a second it takes. Cycle times now have been broken down into real-time data to different sizes and thicknesses going through the machine. CO2 that's produced for that. That then means we can, in the industry, our customers, their customers, we already work on working with people with regards to logistics and transport. So that's something we've done for a very long time. But it does mean later, it does mean that we can make some tweaks and improvements, optimization on the lines as well. So it's a start. It's not how you can't improve what you don't measure, and having it's going to be a game changer.
Excellent. So my final question was to talk through the thought P, but you led into that with your introduction. We're talking about your aspirations for the organised fully doing. Off piste, so I'm putting you on the spot, Kirsty. But are there any plans in the pipeline off the back of the work you've done with the university?
And we hope that they'll be able to use this technology that they've developed, maybe benders, laser cutters, powder coaters. So we're sort of like, we'd love for them to work with other companies and rolling it out.
That's brilliant. I mean, you're obviously a huge amount of subsectors across manufacturing and industry, but how wonderful that can then be applied in. Thank you very much. I think that wraps up our piece, Kirsty. I'm to come on to the with Powder Tech. So welcome to James and Dr. Nick Welton. So base their success, I understand, on technically advanced treatments for aluminium powder coating, obviously the service to clients, which I really get the feel from reading this stature and you see your clients as equal stature as what you guys are, and the need to continually can often be seen, I think, sometimes, as a time with the bleak outlook at the moment, to gain more, it is a difficult task to kind of think about. But I really like the fact that they are really clear that your clients are all at the top of their respective games. So because they are, and also provide the kind of technical expertise that they need to do their jobs incredibly. Really love that approach for kind of customers and any potential organisations working with you. In relation to the article, which is obviously investing in state-of-the-art equipment to help obviously you're investing in. So can you tell us a little bit about your typical clients and some of the subs you supply to? And if you can elaborate a little on the testing process itself.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks for having us today, Caroline. In terms of sectors, we're pretty much cross-sector. So we work with automotive clients, aerospace interiors, medical clients, defence, mainly regulated sectors that require sort of technical support with their process. The room we're in today is our materials characterisation lab, and this is predominantly focused on our automotive clients. The equipment we've got in here is all part of our quality and testing procedures for the aluminium bonded chassis that we do for a lot of automotive OEMs and tier ones in this country. Nick's our technical lead in this area, so I'll let him tell you a little bit more about the equipment itself.
Go ahead, Nick.
I think really, I mean, we set this up because we basically kept getting asked two questions. More recently, these have become more frequent, these requests. And the first one really is, how clean is the surface? I think when you're talking about preparing a surface, which is what we do for either bonding or coating, the cleanliness level is absolutely critical to get the durability of the components in the field. So, you know, from a sustainability aspect, that's really important. So that time to first maintenance can be extended if you can produce a really stable bond with either the coating or the adhesive that's used. So, and this lab is all about measuring that. So when we talk about cleanliness, really to get that really good durability, we're talking about chemical cleanliness. So, you know, a typical part that we receive, it will have lubricants on, it will have cutting fluids, pressing fluids, but really it's about that microstructure on the surface. So we're looking to remove the corrosion products as well. And we're looking to remove the oxides and produce a really, really stable base. And to be able to do that, we needed to demonstrate to clients that that had been done. And that's really the essence of what we do in this laboratory.
Wow, that's really interesting. So you mentioned there that in suite, and in the article it mentions about the new Instron equipment. Can you share a little bit about how you work with clients to kind of find that best solution for coating?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use it really for three main purposes. One is particularly for new clients who want to validate that the treatments that we provide will give them, they'll deliver the results they need against either their specification or their design criteria. So we can actually use the equipment for validation for new business. We get involved in a lot of development projects where we're trying to optimize a particular component. Again, whether it's corrosion properties or its bond durability, we're looking to optimize that with specific set of materials, certain coatings, certain adhesives. And again, having the equipment in-house allows us to do that testing very quickly. So it's about that speed of, you know, having the initial inquiry and then delivering that set of results back to the customer to demonstrate that, you know, the properties that we can get out of materials. And also, I think we're seeing now there's more of a tendency for specifications to have quality control criteria which require batch testing, particularly for in bonding applications for joint strength. So again, we can do that material in-house. We can use it as a quality control tool, and that allows, again, confidence to be given to our customers. So I think where we are at the moment, this is our lab that we put together. So the Instron equipment, which I think the article was about, is basically a mechanical testing piece of equipment. So we have a load cell at the top and some quite big jaws to clamp the material. We're talking about quite big forces, up to about 50 kilonewtons, exerted on some relatively small sample sizes. So it's a destructive test where we're just looking to make a joint and break it apart. And from that, we can get a lot of information about how that material performs, particularly about the consistency of the surface and the bonding, the interface, which is what we're interested in. So that's really the essence of what we're doing. We have a thermal chamber as well, which I think you can see illuminated at the back. And again, one of the important aspects is, will that material survive at low temperature, room temperature, high temperatures across that service range? So again, we have that capability in-house, which really helps us to deliver what our customers require.
Yeah, very, very good approach, and how you explained that by working with your clients, you're also able to help alleviate some of the challenges, such as regulatory quality checking, that type of thing. So that's really good to hear. Invest in the latest technology and expertise. How valuable are the kind of accreditations that you also hold, and also how valuable are they for your clients in respect of this testing suite?
Yeah, very valuable. I think it ties in, to be fair, to a lot of what Nick just said about data-driven specifications. Certainly in the automotive sector, our speciality is aluminium, and historically aluminium tends to be on the more prestige vehicles, mainly due to cost. But tying into the others that are spoken today, there's a drive for CO2 emissions to be reduced, and so the lightweighting of vehicles is as important as it's ever been. And we're seeing more and more manufacturers and tier ones transitioning from traditional steel chassis into aluminium chassis. So as more players come into the market, more people want to do this sort of assembly. We're seeing lots more specifications. We're seeing people needing advice ultimately. And the idea is, we're a processor by trade. We process thousands and thousands of components a week. But to bolster the sort of technical offering from cradle to grave, that was why we made the investment in this equipment here. Because just as Nick said, we can do everything from lab scale trials to pilot trials to full production, and can do the lab testing and validation to back it up. And the beauty of us being an SME, which is the difference between the larger corporates, is we're quick. We do it quickly, and that means a lot to the OEMs and tier ones.
Very good. Yeah, absolutely. Quite key, isn't it? When you've got fast-moving supply chains, businesses need everything yesterday. So yeah, the supply chain, you can help with that. That was really interesting. Thank you both. And I guess that conclusion of some of the 3 articles, which, just to quickly summarise, I guess all are looking at the environment. So it's great to see that organisations are also focused on that bigger environmental piece, and for organisations, which of course is a challenge and an area where organisations are looking to. From all 3 of those is that real collaborative approach. This isn't transactional. It's the fact that your clients or these bigger projects, which really can make a difference for manufacturers. For taking the time today to elaborate on your recent press articles. So thank you, Alex and Nick. First of all, thank you for joining the final episode. So we've got the last one in before the Made Live editor's pick. It's been wonderful to help extract from these guys the wonderful stories. So, there's a new podcast, I understand, from the Made In group coming out, Our Finest Hour, about some of the events that are on the website now, which are live. And also, if you can attend, I understand you also receive a free t-shirt. So thank you all for joining me.
Thanks, Caroline.
Bye.
Thanks.